Do you have like intro music or is this just
I mean, yeah, everything's done in post,
Oh,
though.
okay.
Ugh. This is already such a bad idea.
It's the best idea you ever had.
Okay, I'm here with my lovely girlfriend, Erin, and we're going to be talking about Resident Evil. So, say hi.
Hi.
Say something for the love of God.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. First, I guess what do you know what do you know going into the movie about the series, about what we're going to watch, anything at all?
So for me, Resident Evil has kind of always been a spectator sport. I watch you play Resident Evil. I've watched videos of other people playing it. I really enjoy the series and I wish that I was better at the games. But the only one I successfully played was that Nintendo version with the gun
Oh yeah, on the Wii.
on the Wii. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one just because they gave you an actual gun to hold, so I felt a little bit more confident playing it, but for the most part, I just really enjoy watching other people play it.
You would say story-wise or anything's nothing though. Really.
Um,
Like, you know that there's zombies, you know that there's like a mansion.
yeah, I remember pieces and parts. I don't remember like whole plot lines, really.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
know some of the characters.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can kind of picture them if you bring up their names.
Right.
I know Jill Valentine just because you love her.
Sure. Okay. So you had no expectations going in, you would say.
Not really. I mean, some of the previous Resident Evil games were kind of set it up for me to be prepared that it could possibly be extremely cheesy and
Yeah.
um but I actually would say I liked this one better than some of the others we've seen.
Okay. Okay. I guess so I won't talk about everything with you because there's no point. Like, I'll probably just do that on my own and ramble to myself and just get thoughts out. But let's talk about the movie as it is without any like what
Comparison.
yeah, exactly. That's yeah. Okay. So right away we're introduced to two characters as kids in this like I don't know, orphanage, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
So do you know who these characters are when they say their names?
Yeah. I knew
So
they
the
were.
names like mean something to
Yes.
you? Okay. Do you know who the person running the place, Dr. Birkin, does that name mean anything?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So you kind of know the main characters roughly or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Um they meet up with a weird like disfigured fucked up girl at in some point in the beginning. Do you know that person at all?
No.
Okay.
I'll admit I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't know who that character was.
Lisa Trevor or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. So Lisa Trevor is in the remake of the first game, and she is just kind of this weird like howling unkillable force that chases you but is like around the mansion for like and attacks you when you're nearby.
Oh.
So like it's kind of weird that she's like first of all a little girl here, but more importantly that she like makes friends with the main character who has nothing to do with her. in the games. It's like it automatically was just like, oh, this is fucking weird. It's a weird thing that they did.
It's funny because even though I didn't know that character, I did think it was weird that she was friends with her. Like, how can you be what?
Yeah, I guess they're not really friends necessarily, but she's like nice to her or whatever.
Yeah.
One time, well, as far as we know, because that whole scene is like a flashback or whatever. But yeah, because the main character is Claire, and she is sleeping, and this is kind of like a dream sequence that it opens up with or whatever. Um, and she is on the way with is hitchhiking with the trucker to Raccoon City to see her brother about something that's going on or whatever. So that truck is kind of neat. That whole part is kind of neat because that trucker is in. That's like how 2 starts. Is that trucker is, well, it's a little bit different, but that trucker like stops at a gas station or something, and he gets in his truck and he says something about being bitten by like some crazy person or whatever, and that's like, and later on he crashes and causes a giant fire, which he does in this as well in the movie.
Yeah.
And like that's all of that's like pretty true, and that's kind of neat. He doesn't have the dog, but the dog I thought was an okay touch because that guy needed to get bit somehow.
Yeah.
And they were on like a back road. So one of the weird things is that Raccoon City in this movie is like a desolate shithole that nobody lives in.
Yeah.
Where in the games it is a city of 100,000 people. Like it's a city. It's it's a midwestern city where people live. Not like a big metropolis, but like people live there. It's an industrial town sort of thing. But they have like buildings. They have houses, schools. Like it's a city. And in this, it's not really. It's kind of just like people like packed up and left, and the only people left are like people that couldn't leave and like umbrella employees or something. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm assuming the reason for that is just so that they didn't have to cast like a million people to like be in the background, and they can make it empty or whatever. But it's kind of weird that they're like. So the movie takes the instances from the game 1 and 2 and mashes them together into this weird like stack of shit. Yeah. Basically all the characters that know each other shouldn't know each other.
Oh.
Well, a lot of them anyways. And it's super weird. I think all the characters are okay. Like, so we've met Claire. I think she's fine. They don't do enough with her with Sherry at some point, the kid, but they kind of can't, because that's all happens in the last 10 minutes, sort of thing.
Oh.
But like, yeah, I don't know. She's like, it's kind of weird that they're orphans, but I guess it also is kind of an easy way to just be like, she's a self-sufficient girl, like rather because we're spending a lot little time with a lot of people rather than a lot of time with like 1 or 2 people, because they put too many characters in there because they're trying to do everything instead of just like one thing well. They kind of do everything badly.
So rather than build character, they're just like, here's some backstory. It explains this person.
And I think that is a detriment because this is kind of what I wanted to get to, is that these characters kind of mean nothing to you, right? Besides a name. Like, you don't know what they're supposed to be like, or...
yeah, I guess that's kind of true. It's not that they mean nothing,
But, like, okay, like, you've seen the games being played or whatever, or you've heard the names in passing. If, let's say, like, somebody like, if you sent your mom to go see this, do you think she would understand any of these characters or who they are?
No.
Yeah, because this movie does nothing with them.
No.
And it's kind of a shame because they all do have some character to them, but like Jill and Claire could be the same person, just badass girl. Like it doesn't matter. They're not written to have any traits. All of the guys could be the same fucking person. because they're just a dude with a gun, essentially. Except Leon, who they've got so wrong that it's actually funny. It's actually really, really funny how, like, it almost feels like somebody's just like, oh, I hate that character. Let's make him the stupidest character ever. Because he's just like a bumbling moron that doesn't know anything.
Well, he's the rookie. He's a kid, so
So in the game, his whole idea is that he's like fresh out of like training or whatever, and he was told like you got to move to Raccoon and like you're gonna be part of there. And the day that he moves is the day that everything happens, and it's kind of like, oh, this is my first day, and I'm dealing with like a fucking international crisis sort of thing or whatever. And that's like, so that, and it's also kind of like why he doesn't know where things are, who people are, and like it makes it so that the player can learn stuff with him at the same time. In this, he's just a fucking moron that doesn't know anything, and it's really funny. um yeah, I don't know. It's so weird what they've done with that character specifically. But and it's kind of weird what they did with everybody, because in some regards I think it takes itself seriously, the movie, but like it also doesn't.
yeah.
Like there's a lot of just stupid parts that are like, oh, they obviously know this is stupid, but like they're not like smiling while doing it. It's like really weirdly serious or whatever.
Yeah, it's not meant to be funny, but it's like, oh, there's a little bit of comedy to it because you're like, okay, this isn't quite right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super weird. Okay, so the the characters kind of don't matter. I don't really understand what's going on in the story, really, like how they're making it so that everything is happening at one time, whereas normally it's there's an incident, then there's like time in between, and then there's kind of like it gradually gets worse and worse. And this is all kind of like it's been happening for a while because there's been something in the water or whatever. And I don't know why they all decided to turn into monsters that night if it's been gradually happening for like months or whatever. But that seemed to be like the moment that, I don't know, the switch activated in people's minds, or so. I don't know why they
Yeah.
all turned instantly on that night at the same time. It's
Well, and if they were meant to make us think that they were hiding somewhere, in the underground or like in the rafters or something along those lines, then why didn't they come out sooner? Like, why did it all spring forward at this particular time?
it's just super weird that they were gradually being poisoned or whatever was happening, and then it just like, oh, but they're all turning now,
Yeah.
including the crow. Like it's super weird. I don't understand how that works, but
The
um
the only thing that made me kind of think that it had been going on for a little while was when Claire saw the neighbor lady and the little kid, and they were both like kind of scraggly and missing their hair and
kind
they
of
looked
like
sick.
kind of like almost like a chemo. If somebody was going through chemo, how you like slowly start getting gaunt and like losing
Yeah.
like extra cells on your body and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like, I almost wonder if the whatever was in the water that was building up to that point like sort of hit its precipice. I don't know how it could have all hit it
That's
at once though.
that's what I mean is, and there's also a point where you also are wondering, why is this group of like 7 people okay also, because they live here also,
Yeah.
like and they kind of try to like explain that with a throwaway thing where Claire's like looking at Chris's water bottle in his home and just being like, why aren't you sick or whatever. And there's like a line later that Birkin has been giving him like, or like putting in, I don't know, like tablets or like something to make sure that to keep like people safe or whatever, or certain people safe. But it's such a stupid reason that doesn't make any sense. So
No.
whatever. Why even bother at that point? I don't know. I think you're writing yourself into a corner when you're just like, oh, they've been polluting the water or whatever. It's like, oh, that brings up like 20 questions. It's like,
Immediately.
why is this just being found out by one person that sends a videotape that doesn't even like work for anything? So that character is in the games, Ben, but he's a reporter in the game that stumbles onto kind of like a backstory with the police chief and how he's kind of dirty when he's like looking into some corruption or something. um
Okay.
and and the the police chief in this is kind of like not really dirty. I don't know, he's like also kind of an idiot,
He's a bit bumbly.
and he's an asshole, like,
yeah.
but he's not an evil murderous child rapist like he kind of is in the games.
Oh. Well, that's
So
positive.
I mean, yeah, he's better in this. So that's good, I guess. But yeah, he's like a real piece of shit in the games. So it's kind of interesting that he's just kind of an asshole in this. Like he's whatever. But and I guess that's just because they needed more people to eventually kill off. Because another problem is that if you have a zombie movie, the thing you like to do is you like to have people that are kind of tropey, so they can do that character is going to do the stupid thing of like trying to protect their kids, so they're gonna let the fucking horde in at some point to like for something stupid. That character is the one that thinks everything through and like knows a plan. That character is like emotional, will fight with the group. Like you try to set up tropey people so that you can have dumb things happen and just be like, oh, that's humanity, the dichotomy of man, whatever you want to say. And this movie doesn't have that ability to have that because it has to deal with people that you know, and they all kind of have to have a fate where they live because they're important to the story that's already been made. So you need people that have a name and that you can have do stupid things and then kill off. But it has to be 3 people in this group, so like make them count. And I think that's why they use a police chief. Is like, well, we can't make him a weird, like terrible person that's like thwarting things, but he can be a victim, so let's make him an asshole, let's make him do dumb shit in some parts, and then we can kill him off and people will be like, that's funny, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Because like every other character is a main character.
Yeah.
And the problem is that you mix two properties together. You now have a thing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 6 main characters in it, in some way, and you have like maybe 10 characters total. So like those 4 have to be killed or used in some way, and because everybody else that isn't these people is a zombie.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah. And they're expendable now. So.
Yeah. So it's really weird. I feel like there's a lot of being written into a corner when not only are you taking from a property that has kind of rules associated with it anyways, and you don't want to piss off the people that are like, this movie didn't do well this week. Go figure. Because I think there's a certain crowd you have to cater to, and you have to also make it so that new people can watch it and be okay with it and maybe say, hey, this was actually pretty good, you should go see it or whatever. And they didn't reach the crowd, I don't think, that's like you, where you would recommend it to people.
Yeah.
They only really are catering to people like me that will talk about this on the internet. But the problem is that they cater to me in a bad way, where all I can say is kind of dumb shit about it, and not like say you should go see it, because like nobody should see this thing in theaters anyways. So that all being said, I think there is a problem just inherently with, you have a property that you need to cater to 2 different groups, and you can't really do either justice. But in doing so, you have characters that you can't change around too much. You have characters that you can't just completely write off in different ways. They have to be you have characters that need to exist in case a sequel happens. That's just
and
the way it is.
They need to live and continue.
And not only that, but you took two properties and shoved them together into one. So you like doubled. The way they did this, like, it was bound to fail, I think. And yeah, it's just such a weird mess of a movie. I think the pacing is completely weird because, like, at this point we've met all the characters, and this is like the thing happens where everybody activates into zombie mode or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And it's actually an okay setup to get the Stars team to go to one place and do that part. But that whole part should be a movie by itself, because that's where you have the setup of the characters, you have the setup of the incident, you have the setup of who Umbrella is really, and you have the setup of kind of like what should come in the second game or whatever. But that's all happening at the same time at, like, in the movie as well. So you're kind of, this could have been easily two movies mixed into one. And because of that, you have this messy thing of, we're doing this for 5 minutes, now we're doing this for 5 minutes, now we're doing this for 5 minutes, and we can't let anything sit.
No.
At all.
Sort of soak it in.
Yeah.
Like, you not knowing which parts belong to which game, even.
Yeah.
I still feel the same way. Like, if they were going to make something that they wanted to be true to the games, then why didn't they do it in 2 parts? Even if it meant they didn't give it a true ending, people that are passionately interested in Resident Evil would go see both parts if it was truer to the story.
Right.
And truer to who the characters are. And they took some more time to build the characters up and show the people that don't really know the games who they are, and then give them more time to process the story. But instead they're like, let me throw something different at you every 5 minutes and let me confuse the hell out of the people that really like this and know this material by mixing two things together that don't belong together.
Yeah. And for other people, like, because we're trying to cater to that crowd and failing, we're also neglecting just making a good horror movie for people that like horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, I like really bad, shitty 90s horror movies that are just don't make any sense and they're just kind of fun. And this has glimpses of that in some spots where it's just like, this part is so fucking stupid, but at least it's kind of fun and like interesting to watch. But that's also marred by some weird shit. Like, there's a part with the liquor or whatever, and that liquor looks terrible. That CG animation is absolutely fucking terrible. So, and that whole part is like, I don't know, that whole part is cool in theory, but then it's ruined right away. It's kind of neat having Lisa like attack it or whatever. I don't know. It's so weird. Yeah, and then that ending. We don't have to talk about the ending really, but it's so fucking weird that the way that thing ends. I feel like there's so many things that the reason why you would watch this is that you're a Turbo Nerd fan and you want to see the thing on the screen, and there's a lot of those, and I'll like maybe talk about them later on, like what specifically happens, but there's easy layups that they miss. Like, at some point Leon's holding a rocket launcher, and instead of saying the line from the game where he says like game over or like an easy layup, he just says fuck you or something stupid. Like, it's baffling to me how people wanted to make a movie based on the games, but I don't think they've ever played the games.
No.
Like, just easy shit that they just don't do or what. It's so annoying. Yeah, Leon swears a whole lot, which is weird.
Yeah. It seems kind of tacked on.
The first time we see him, he's like waking up from a hangover at 10 o'clock at night and then starts drinking again. What did they do? I don't understand why they did that to him, but I'm trying to think if there's anything really specific. Oh, the laboratory at the end is like a classroom or something.
Yeah.
His lab is like Okay. I mean, to be fair, it probably is like what a real lab would look like. It's just like if you've ever been like a science room in a high school, it's like that, but like a little like more packed in with like weird shit or something. But like that felt weird that his lab is literally just one room. It feels weird that a whole bunch of characters that shouldn't know each other are talking to each other and hanging out, and ugh, all of that stuff is like not really important, but that's like stuff that got to me a little bit, and I was just like ugh or whatever. Um, and then it just kind of ends, and then there's a thing that happens after the credits, which we won't talk about, but it's setting up for a sequel, and that breaks my heart and makes me excited at the same time.
I don't know how to feel about that. There being a sequel. I just think, again, not knowing the games as well as you do, just having watched them, they should have just followed the material. It just doesn't make sense the way
it's
they do
there.
it.
Like the material has
It's
the
there,
path
but
has
it's-
been laid for you.
Yeah, like just use that and then throw in your extra little quippy comments and
Yeah.
fun story bits, but keep it true to the original material.
Yeah, like at least somewhat anyway.
Or at least in a way that honors it, and I don't know.
Or do the opposite. Don't keep it true at all. This is a whole
go
new product.
totally off the rails.
This is a whole new thing.
Just invent a new story with the characters if you have to.
And it's kind of interesting because in the same in 24-hour period, I saw maybe the biggest travesty since 9/11 on film, in representation of a thing with Resident Evil. But then we watched Arcane, which is so the right way to do a video game thing where you just take little things about the characters or whatever and then make an actual compelling story with them. And it's weird that like there in 24 hours I've just seen like the worst way to do it and the best way to do it. Yeah. And like fair enough that Arcane has like 10 hours worth of content that they could slowly like drip feed that and like get the characters in properly. But so you already said this. I think the other Resident Evil movies are actually better than this. And the reason, well, that's not necessarily true because some of those are like should have been aborted, like straight up. Some of them are fucking terrible. But the first one in particular just kind of exists in that universe with the bad company and like just random like little hints and Easter eggs as to what's going on like from the games, but it is a self-contained story of people that don't exist in the games and they could just do whatever with.
Yeah.
And so that first movie is kind of okay in that way. And then that series gets worse because they start introducing people from the games into that series, and then they're kind of fucking everything up too. But at least it kind of does it in its own way, and over time it doesn't try to like cram everything into one. So I think those movies are actually better. If not maybe a little more boring. This does have a lot of action in it for some parts, but I just don't think any of the action really matters. There's one part in particular in this movie where the Chris is fighting his way through a few rooms in the mansion or whatever, and they're really, really dark because it's nighttime. It's like 4 a.m. or something, and the mansion's in the woods and it's unpowered or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's like zombies everywhere. So the only thing we're getting are glimpses of what's going on from the muzzle flashes from the gun as he's like fighting his way through stuff. And that is super cool for like 5 seconds, and then started making me feel sick and like, oh, this must be a seizure. I'm having a seizure now because it lasts, no joke, for about 5 minutes.
Yes.
It lasts I looked away from the screen because I started feeling
like
sick.
Flashes of light for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like again, it's one of those things that's like, this is a cool idea. You fucked it up though.
Yeah,
you ruined it.
Took too long with it.
Yeah.
They should have given that 5 minutes to the liquor and made him better, and then switched Because the scene with the liquor was so short.
It's so short, yeah.
It's like, oh, we have to show you this. This is really important that you see this creature, but then we're gonna kill it right away.
And the way they built it up was cool too, with like there's noises on the ceiling and the lights start kind of like moving, but you don't see anything. And like if you know, then you're like, oh shit, I know what's about to happen. And then nothing happens for a bit, which is good. You don't want just horror things to jump out at you. You want to build up. And the build up is good for about a minute worth of like what's going on here, and then it's dealt with in the easiest way ever. I don't know. It's super weird.
Like a neck snap and then you're done. Oh, okay. So that was the liquor.
It's super weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything more that's just kind of general to say. What do you think? What are some thoughts?
I don't know if there's a lot more that I can say. I don't know. Yeah, from the perspective of someone that doesn't know every piece and part of the games, I still think they should have been a little more careful with how they presented it.
How do you feel as just somebody like watching a movie? What were some parts that were like, this was weird, this was good?
So for me, like, character build up is important and building a story with those characters.
So who is your favorite character?
Probably Claire, just because.
Yeah, I was going to say it, I didn't want to like.
And I think it's because they spent a lot of time on her. But
she's the only one they built up at all.
Yeah, and they didn't even really do a great job of it. They just kind of were like, oh, this is her story and this is her background, and she had some trauma and she went off on her own and now she's coming to find her brother.
Yeah.
And, so they gave her a little bit more of a story, and I kind of feel like I gravitate towards her because of that, but then like the plot was really choppy. It was like, it's like being in the car with someone who's always on the brakes. Like, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And then, oh, we're changing paths. We're just gonna go this way now. And I don't know. It's just a little confusing to watch at times. And then.
What it reminds me of, not to cut you off, is, have you ever, like, watched TV with somebody that just, they, for some reason, they can't just wait through, like, a commercial? So what they'll do is that once it goes to commercial, they'll flip to something else.
Yes.
And then watch that, and then it'd go back and forth. That's how this was shot, where it's like, we're Resident Evil 1 now. Now we're 2. Now we're 1. And it's crazy.
It is crazy. It's disorienting.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. There was definitely cool scenes, like the dog turning on the guy and biting him. And...
Yeah, the dog was pretty cool. All of the like practical effects that weren't just CG were pretty neat. Like,
yeah. Anytime the zombies attack someone, that's always cool. Kind of jump scary.
Yeah.
And even like the monsters that they did show in the movie and the zombies, I didn't feel like they got very much screen time. It was like, here's a little bit of this and here's a little bit of that, and I don't know. It's like, let's make a movie about dragons, but only show the dragons for like seconds at a time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did with the monsters and the zombies. It was like, this is about this, but we're not really going to show that much.
Yeah, I think they have the wrong idea of, I mean, they had their own idea of what they wanted to do. So there's kind of a rule in horror that if you were trying to build tension and scares, you don't show what's chasing you or whatever, because people will always imagine something worse than you could ever show them or whatever.
Okay.
But Resident Evil, I mean, the first one is kind of about that. Like, it's kind of, the scares come from you opening a door, hearing a sound, and you can't see what it is because there's a camera just looking like in a certain way or whatever. So you have to like go down that hallway before you might be able to see what's making that sound. That's where the horror came from, that. But what they're going for, and what is kind of more of a new way that Resident Evil went eventually, is with body horror stuff. That's just like weird mutations that are gross and fucked up. And that's another way you can do horror, where if you're going to show something, make it fucking horrific and like make people cringe when they look at it. And they didn't go far enough with that either. So
No.
there's this weird thing where they do try some of the like scary, like everything with to do with the mansion felt like it was slow, and like they were trying to go for like we don't know what's in here, like it's kind of scary or whatever. And it kind of works a little bit, but that part's like 10 minutes total, maybe. Split up over like 5 different scenes of 2 minutes each. Um, and then all this stuff with Claire and Leon is like that's where you get the liquor, that's where you get Lisa being all fucked up. And at the end you have Birkin's weird snake form. I don't know what the fuck. Let me show you. Um, uh, what was it, 5 or 4? This is what the end Birkin actually looks like, and it's this
Oh.
weird mashup of like viscera, teeth. There's like a human part in there somewhere. Just this disgusting mess of shit, right? That's supposed
Yeah.
to be horrific and like just kind of coming at you. Where in the movie, it's like this weird, sleek looking, like snake creature almost, like a
Almost.
reptile of some sort.
Well, and at one point he has like eyes coming out of his shoulder and like horns coming out of the back of
So
him.
that part is actually correct. Believe it or not, that all of that sort of stuff, they actually hit the mark pretty good. I thought it was kind of neat. With like the arm, like I kind of like that we saw
Okay.
him transforming because he's not infected for long in the movie, so I kind of like that they kind of put him through all his like transformations within the same scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just keeps going and going. So that was cool, I thought. But they just get the end. This is supposed to be like the end thing. This is the train car just full of like his fucking tentacles and gross viscera and shit everywhere.
Ew.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be like this disgusting mess of like infection and person basically with yeah. That's and then I'll show I mean this isn't going to be good for audio of course, but um I, I guess Birkin. I don't know why it's not going.
See, now that you're showing me this, that part makes more sense. Um, but they didn't quite.
This is
get it.
what we got. We got this weird like it's like they were trying to go for it, but they hired somebody that just finished college and they don't know how to like do a giant like eyeball moving visceral blob. So what they did is what they do know, and that's a reptile skull.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reptile with like googly eyes stuck to it.
It's weird because it's almost like just a standard monster from any other series ever.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of looks like an anaconda or something, like a big anaconda skull or something. So yeah, I don't know. Stuff like that is disappointing where they should have gone further with some of this stuff. If they were going to do it. Lisa Trevor, like I said this I like did reaction stuff to like when the trailers came out. Lisa Trevor looks fucking terrible. We like a bunch of us were kidding. She looks like a fuck. Actually, a lot of stuff in this reminds me of like Resident Evil on the CW or something. Like it reminds me of like the Riverdale version of Resident Evil in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
Like she looks kind of like a melted wax figure.
so what she is she's a person with um in this I don't know, I'm guessing that's her mom's face sewed on her
Okay.
or somebody's, but like this is her in the games
Oh.
where she's like this has the like she's a fucked up like person or whatever with people's skin and faces and stuff
like sewn
on
her.
and she's looking for her mom's corpse.
Oh.
Because yeah, there's a lot of really sad story of what happens with her, but she's like consistently like not chasing you, but like existing as a constant threat in the game.
Okay.
So like the fact that she's not only just kind of here for a moment just to say that she's in the movie, but she's like completely different seemed weird to me when they could have used her as a cool thing, kind of like chasing them at
Yeah.
some point or whatever. Instead, they use her as like a weapon, essentially.
Kind of.
I don't know. It's super, yeah, it's super weird. Uh, Overall, what do you think? Is this something you would recommend to people to go watch?
Not in the theater.
Yeah.
I download it, watch it at home. You probably won't watch it more than once.
I'll probably watch it again when it comes out on streaming. Like, I'll probably download it
Yeah.
and watch it again and just be like, oh my god. Just like with a bottle of whiskey or something.
What's wrong with this movie?
Yeah, I was looking into who made it, and like I don't want to be that guy that's just like, how did you get this job? But I do wonder, I kind of want to go through and like maybe pick a few things that he did before this.
Mhm.
Specifically, the thing that they say he's notable for making is this 47 meters down, which I've never heard of before.
No, neither have I.
Again, I don't want to be like just that asshole, but how does somebody who made something I've never heard of before in a few like smaller things get the one of the biggest horror franchises rights for a movie? I don't understand. He must like know somebody or whatever.
Friends with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe 47 meters down is fucking phenomenal, and it just will be like, oh yeah, that's why he got it, because this movie is awesome. Who knows?
Who knows? But it was a strange mashup of things.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, the way that I felt after I watched it. Even again, I don't know the series as well as anyone who's played those games. It was kind of the way that I felt after I saw the live action Beauty and the Beast. There were some scenes that were like exactly the way they were in the movie, but then they threw in like weird things that were just totally out of left field. Like Beast sings his own song, and like it's kind of cheesy and unbearable to watch. Even though it's sad, it's like, oh, I just don't like that.
So you're saying this movie would have been better if the liquor just started breaking out into some like giant ballad or whatever?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that sometimes when you're really like something, I don't know, I feel like you want to see it scene for scene the way it was written.
Yeah. That's kind of the problem I've been having with this, and I've been kind of digesting on how I feel about it just in general, because there's a part of me that I know I have to just shut up, because I knew going in this wasn't going to be like the game, like exactly like the games, but like it does so many little callbacks to it that it gives you that little dopamine rush of just like, oh, I know that thing, and it makes you happy, and then it slaps you. It's like conditioning you like a battered wife or something to just be like, oh,
That's a
but
bad example.
but I love it. I love this movie though.
I love this thing.
It hurts me sometimes, but I love it. And so there is part of me that like just knew going in, I'm going to be disappointed because I have such a weird attachment to this thing that, first of all, it'll never live up to it. Like nothing ever will.
No.
And that's fine, because Silent Hill is kind of similar, where I went into that knowing it's never going to live up to the game, but I was pleasantly surprised because that movie knew kind of the spirit of why the game is good and kind of did its own spin on that. And I thought it was like, I know people are like, yeah, it's good, but it's not great. I disagree. I think the Silent Hill movie is fucking phenomenal. Especially for a video game movie. And I was kind of hoping this would kind of go along the same path of, we know what like people like about the thing, and we're going to twist it around into this kind of cool new way to tell you this story. And I feel like they honestly were trying to do it. I don't think anybody tries to make a bad product ever.
No.
I don't know if the people writing this were fans or whatever. I'm sure at least one or two of them were, or like they have a kid that is or something. Because it is a huge franchise in video gaming. Um, but so like I don't think they were trying to like make something that's completely off the mark. I think there's a lot of things in there that they're just like, we put these in for people that like can get that little dopamine rush or whatever, but they kind of miss the grand picture of what makes those fun or good or anything, and they kind of don't ever reach a mark where they are able to recreate that same thing or do something completely new with it.
Yeah.
But there's also the part of me that is just like, I just like stupid horror movies. Like I like a lot of ones that are badly filmed and badly acted because they're funny or they're fun and they like are a good time to watch. And it doesn't do that either, really. There are parts that are bad or funny. There's parts where like I was laughing and just being like, okay, that's like hilarious or that's stupid or whatever. But it isn't enough to make the whole thing enjoyable in that way either. So it kind of has me in this weird middle ground limbo of there are parts I do like about it for both of these reasons. I like it as a shitty horror movie and I like it as a Resident Evil thing, but I don't like it enough in either to say that I like it as a product.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird.
It
The moral is don't love things because it will disappoint you in the
it will disappoint you. Don't try and watch your favorite childhood movies in live action. Yeah.
It's actually like a thing of don't meet your heroes.
Don't meet your heroes. It's why the Harry Potter movies, they say you either read the books or you watch the movies. But
you don't
if
do
you
both.
do both, you're all conflicted because the movies don't follow the books exactly.
You're in this limbo that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pick a side.
Yeah, that's why I never read the books. Even though a lot of people say the books are better than the movies, but...
That's not why you didn't read the books. The books came out when we were kids. Long before the movies did.
Well, no, the books came out when we were in, like, high school, I think.
No, I was like 8, so you were maybe 9 or 10.
No, I was older than that.
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think so.
They're not that old.
I mean, we can figure this out. 97. So I was 11.
No way.
It says it right here.
97? How?
97.
Okay, so I was 12.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like I said, we were kids.
Well, then they were just really obscure to me at that time because I didn't know they existed.
Yeah, no, I remember a bunch of kids in my class. We had those like scholastic book orders or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember they were like pushing Harry Potter pretty hard and a few kids got them or whatever, but I kind of ignored it. It's just like Philosopher's Stone. All right.
I didn't know it was a thing then. So.
I'm going to go listen to Slipknot or something. I don't know. I don't know what I would have been. I'm going to go play Resident Evil and cry that there's no movie about it.
Now you're an adult and you're like,
why is there a movie?
Why does this exist? Wait, think about it. Would 11-year-old you have liked that movie?
Oh, 11-year-old me would have fucking loved it every second. Would have drank that shit up.
Even though it was kind of a weird mashup, you would have been okay with it.
100% would have loved it. Yeah. Would have loved every second of it.
Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee 11-year-old me would have been okay with the Beauty and the Beast movie being what it was.
Yeah.
Adult me is like, no, this doesn't happen in the movie. What are you talking about?
So that's the real lesson, is don't grow up.
Don't grow up. Don't love things.
Don't love things and don't grow up. You heard it here first.
Oh, it makes me sad because I think of like 9-year-old me who was really, really into Sailor Moon, but I couldn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because everyone else that liked Sailor Moon was made fun of, and I was already getting teased enough as it was. I didn't need that extra.
Yeah.
And now as an adult, I'm like, I love you, Sailor Moon.
It's too late, though.
It's too late.
It's too late. It's over. Just like...
It had its moment.
Just like our talk. Do you want to end off?
And
you can have the last word.
I don't know what to say.
Say something.
Don't go see it in a movie theater. kick back on your couch with some snacks and watch it. But don't go out to the theater.
How about thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, it's me, Paul, doing this last little bit solo here. This is where I'm just going to kind of ramble and talk about Welcome to Raccoon City in more detail than is probably necessary for a lot of stuff. I guess I'll start this off with if you've been listening or you're not like really into the series or whatever, I'll give you kind of a rundown of what the games do and why certain choices were not my favorite and why I thought some things were cool in more specific detail here. So the games kind of are split up into two parts. Obviously, they're two different games. The first one is there's something's going on just outside of Raccoon City. The Special Tactics and Rescue Squad or whatever, STARS, they're sent out and one of their team goes missing and we kind of pick up with the other team and we find out that in this mansion there was a virus being produced, like biological weapons or whatever, and a virus got loose and a bunch of test subjects started like running rampant and whatever. We find out that a character that was part of STARS is a traitor, and that Umbrella, the corporation that's kind of been just the pharmaceutical corporation or whatever, like a Google in this universe or whatever, is behind everything. And that's kind of where we have the main characters, Wesker, Jill, Chris, and the movie kind of decided to move some people around. So we have Barry in the game, who is one of my favorite characters, and he's just not in this at all. Instead, they replace him with Richard, Richard is part of the Bravo team originally, and he's already in the mansion in the game, and he dies from a giant snake basically poisoning him or eating him or dying by a shark, depending on which version of the first game you're playing. There's literally a line in the movie where Jill Valentine is asking Richard, is it Richard or is it somebody else? I'm pretty sure it's Richard. How would you rather die? Being eaten by a giant snake or being ripped apart by a shark or whatever? And it's like, it's really dumb and on the nose. And it's so that was the moment that I knew we weren't going to get that scene. And he's probably going to die from something stupid, like a zombie or a gunshot or something, right? But like, they knew enough that they wanted to make a call to it, which is fine. But I kind of wish if you're going to have that character, you're just going to show that scene. Like, have a giant snake eat him and then run off or something. I don't care. You don't have to fight the snake. It doesn't have to come back. Let him get eaten or whatever. It was also at that point that I realized we're probably not going to have much of the mansion at all, and we don't. The mansion is in it for, I don't know, 15 minutes, maybe total runtime, maybe 20, and interspersed with a bunch of other stuff. I think that's kind of my problem just with the movie as a whole, is that because they have 2 games worth of content going into 1 2-hour time, they have to crunch down a lot on stuff. And that's like just the first example of the whole mansion incident is basically them going there. And don't get me wrong, them going into that front lobby and like slowly looking around is very cool. it is unfortunately short lived. It maybe like, I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but the mansion itself is smaller than you would think it should be. And that might just be because the mansion in the game is actually way bigger than a mansion would be. It's a house, right? And this mansion in the movie is very much like a house. It's very dark. There's a lot of dark scenes or whatever because there's no power going on. This is like, I guess the incident has already happened out here or whatever, and it cut out all the power. So there's a lot of darkness in it. It leads to some cool moments of dark corridors and having to use a flashlight to look around. We get the infamous scene of somebody being eaten by a zombie and the zombie slowly turning its head. I think it's Chris and Richard are the ones that get to deal with that. And instead of Kenneth, it's eating Dooley, who's like a character that I remembered the name, but I didn't even remember who he was. He was like a pilot for the other team that we don't even ever hear about. He's more of a main character in this, I guess, because he has a name and he's the one that they find being munched on. So, okay, sure, whatever, who cares? And yeah, Jill and Wesker are hanging out together. Wesker kind of has his turn at some point. Brad crashes the helicopter because he gets bitten or whatever when he's waiting for them. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So Brad, like, by the end of this sequence, Brad is dead. Wesker has turned. Jill, Chris, also meet up at some point, and Kenneth, if I remember, I can't remember if he dies here or if he dies later. It doesn't really matter. But the whole mansion incident is literally the zombie turning his head, like going into the lobby the first time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the Moonlight Sonata part, but it's not the full song. It's just like the first three notes played in succession over and over again. And the way they figure that out is Wesker is literally being guided by his PDA on how to open up a secret passage to Birkin's secret lab or whatever. That stuff is kind of okay. I also kind of like, weirdly, that Wesker is kind of just like a douche that like betrays them for money and trying to get out of the city, and not necessarily like an evil mastermind that has been plotting all this stuff and like a puppet master pulling strings or any of this weird like shadow broker shit that he turns out to be in the original game. I kind of like that they're part of a team and they like each other or whatever, but the call of the dollar is a little bit stronger for him or whatever. And the fact that like he's told that Raccoon's about to be completely destroyed. And yeah, I kind of like that turn, and like that his turn is more regular, like a more human thing of just like, I got to look out for myself or whatever. And just as straight up, Tom Hopper or whatever, I thought did a pretty decent job. It is kind of weird seeing him, seeing, that is to say, Albert Wesker as kind of a good's a strong word, but like a normal guy and not a backstabber until the very end or whatever. That's weird. But I thought Tom Hopper does an okay job. Robbie Amell or whatever as Chris is like the perfect casting, and to the point where it makes me wonder what the hell happened with the rest of them. It's not necessarily that even the others are bad. It's just that him as Chris feels normal and looks normal and all of that stuff. And yeah, I guess like really all him, Wesker, we'll talk about Leon in a second, Brad, even Richard, they're all just like white dude that like has a gun. So I guess it doesn't really matter who you cast in it, but Robbie Amell looks like Chris, or the way that like you would think a Chris should look on the big screen. So it just like rang true the whole time. I thought that was just really, really good casting. Hannah John Kamen or Kamen or whatever as Jill. I think I like her way more than Sienna Guillory from Resident Evil Apocalypse. Yeah, I think it was Apocalypse, and then like the other ones later on. Obviously, she doesn't have the look the same. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there was like a little bit of a, oh, she's not even like, it's such a shitty thing, but it's like she's not even the right like face type, body type, skin color, that sort of stuff. And all of that goes away because she like she fills that role really good. It's too bad that the writing is terrible, because I think like she could have really been just a really, really good version of Jill if she was written any good. But she has some of the stupidest lines. They make reference to the Jill sandwich, where she literally takes the sandwich from Wesker when they're hanging out in a diner and says, "Mine now, Jill sandwich," or whatever. And it's like, ugh, really? I kind of like that they played along with her, the fact that she's like a marksman and she actually does some like neat trick shot or whatever at some point. Just a little more building that maybe like none of the other things do. The problem I had with Sienna's character of her in the other Resident Evil movies is she smokes in one of them, and that really bugged me for some reason. And she's just like too much of a like, oh, I'm a cool badass or whatever. And I don't get that like try-hardy feel from Hannah John Kamen in this. I thought she was quite good, actually. I really enjoyed her. I just wish the writing for everybody was better, but especially I wish they gave her more to do. Even there's this weird like love triangle thing or something where Chris is obviously like crushing on Jill and Jill is crushing on Wesker, and it's so CW. There's no better way to explain it. It's so CW. Kaya Scudelario or whatever. I can't say her name. She's great as Claire. She's just decent at doing these weird horror things. She's done a few of them in the past. She did the alligator one that came out recently, Crawl or whatever. Apparently she's in the Maze Runner, which I never saw, but she's fine. And I think that role she's okay in that role. Again, doesn't really look anything like the character would from the games or whatever, but at some point, who gives a shit? Who cares? It doesn't matter at all. Leon is absolutely abysmal. What they did to Leon, it's so bad, it's actually funny. The first instance we get of him is him waking up for his night shift or whatever at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night in a hotel room or a motel room, with a hangover. And then he just like starts drinking a beer and he's like sleeping while the other STARS members are making fun of him and making fun of him for being a rookie and like giving him shit or whatever. And he just gets yelled at the whole time. He's honestly like Gomer Pyle or something. Like anytime he enters the room, everybody's just like, "What are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here. You're useless," or whatever. And he kind of is. He gets his gun like stolen or dropped, or like things get the jump on him repeatedly. He tells Claire to like drop her gun when she's holding a fire hydrant. Like, he is so ridiculously stupid that it's actually comical, to the point where I think the writer had a grudge against that character or something. I don't understand what they were trying to do. Like, I know there's definitely glimpses of they were trying to go for this like kind of not, he's a rookie, right? They're trying to go for like an incompetence, but they kind of go for buffoon. It kind of reads as buffoon. And they also try to go for like sarcastic, quirky, aloof, like kind of like the cool guy, like, oh, I don't really care about anything, that like Leon becomes later on. But those moments are bad because they are written where he just says, this is fucking stupid or fuck this. And he just swears a lot all the time. And it's really, really awkward. There's a scene where he's holding a rocket launcher, and instead of like the obvious like game over or whatever that he says in Resident Evil 2, he just says like, hey, like, fuck you or eat this or something just stupid, right? Just like, and it's an easy layup. Like, just say the line that the people here know. Um, yeah, he's really, really bad. His whole character is that he shot his partner in the butt during training or something, which is why he's in Raccoon or like demoted or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's super, super weird. Claire and Chris being orphans is an odd choice, but I kind of get why they went for it. It's kind of neat also that they show the orphanage that was played such an important part in Resident Evil 2 remake. A lot of this feels like the writers or whoever was in charge of stuff played that game and like read up some lines or something from the first game. But there's a lot of 2 remake in this for sure. I thought it was kind of cool that the doll, the weird creepy doll that Sherry has in the game, that she has to like get the block from or whatever, with the, it's like a potato man or something, like an egghead thing with these like creepy eyes. That's in this movie. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought the fact that the orphanage at all was kind of in here was kind of neat, and they use it well. I thought it's weird that Lisa Trevor, instead of being a monster that's kind of pursuing them, is kind of like a good guy in this in her own weird way. But I guess it's also the easiest way to introduce the fact that like these kids are being experimented on and all that sort of stuff going on with Birkin. I thought casting Neil McDonough, don't, I'm so bad with names. I thought he's actually a pretty good Birkin because he has that really intense stare, that like old white guy stare, and like you can tell something shady's going on even when he's trying to be normal. I thought the casting of him was pretty cool. I kind of also like that when he's transforming or becoming a monster or whatever, they don't have a whole lot of time to play with that. So the transformation is continuous and he's kind of like evolving and getting grosser and grosser for the scene that's happening. And he's chasing Chris down. I thought that was pretty neat. Donald Legou or whatever, I've only known him ever as this like shitty dad in a show he was in called Grounded for Life. So seeing him as the police chief is hilarious, and again just kind of okay, like written just as an asshole but not written as the really bad asshole that he is in the game. Ben is, I can't remember if he's just a conspiracy nut or if he actually is a reporter. I'm pretty sure he's a reporter in this as well, instead of investigating the police chief and what's going on with that, though, because the police chief in this isn't necessarily a bad guy, quote unquote. He finds out that Umbrella has been polluting the water, and he's the one that kind of tells Claire, like, yo, you gotta help or whatever, you gotta help your brother and the people there. He's the one that sends the tape. And that whole scene with him is pretty good. He's fine. I don't know that actor's name, but he's okay. Trying to think specific character stuff, if there's anything else. Oh, I guess like spoilers, big spoilers for like how they set things up. Wesker. So Wesker is the one, instead of Hunk, that goes for the G virus from Birkin, who is there with his family. He shoots Birkin and then gets shot. And that's kind of, we think he's dead or whatever. And then in the after credit scene, he comes back alive, Wesker does, with like a big headache and he can't see properly or whatever. Everything's too bright because he's been given the virus to keep him alive, from the people that have been contacting him. And we find out he's being told this by a mysterious Chinese woman, obviously Ada Wong, and she introduces herself as such. This when we get so the reason he wears sunglasses is because his eyesight is too good now or something. So now he wears sunglasses. Sure. Why not? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous end cutscene thing. And I kind of hope they don't go on with more of these movies, but like I kind of hope that was just an Easter egg and not like we're trying to set up for a giant series or whatever. Who knows? I don't think they're going to get anywhere because this movie didn't do particularly well. I thought monster wise the zombies were okay. There's the scene where the one writes itchy tasty because of course she does, because references. And they're the like faster zombies. So I don't know how people like feel about that. I guess they're kind of more just infected residents, evil residents even, that are infected. They're not really slow shambling zombies, which is fine at this point. You got to make it more intense, and it's all about them trying to like escape the city anyway, so it doesn't matter. The liquor looks terrible. I think it just looks absolutely god awful. I think Lisa Trevor's weird skin suit looks terrible. There's the scene where she like kills a liquor by using her, I can't remember what they're called, the like hand clamps or whatever, and just like breaks its head off, which in theory is very, very cool. But again, kind of weird that she's like a good guy in this, but whatever. It like that stuff doesn't bother me at all. I kind of like how they used her at all. If they're not going to do a full first movie in the mansion or whatever, and you want to get her in there, have her do something. At least she does something, you know, like at least she has a part. I think the final Birkin transformation is terrible. I think it's maybe one of the worst things in this movie. It looks stupid. The CG looks bad. It doesn't look anything like it should, in my opinion. I just really, really don't like it. For other small Easter eggs, I guess, just before I get out of here, I think I'm pretty much done talking here. I really, really like how the movie kind of starts with Claire hitchhiking into the town with the trucker that will end up being the trucker that is the, why'd he bite me guy or whatever, getting bit by his dog who licks up the infected girl's blood from the road that he hits. I thought like that setup is pretty cool. He grabs the greasy burger like from Resident Evil 2 remake rather, and like takes a big chomp out of it. All that like gross, disgusting shit that the trucker in the game does. I thought that's cool. There's a part where they're going through records and there is the video of Alexia and Alfred Ashford, and that was an interesting callback. That's an interesting callback I was not expecting, but sure. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? At this point, why wouldn't you do something with them? If you're just doing Easter eggs anyways, it's a decent way to do it. We get some of the Umbrella operatives that are kind of setting up blockades around the city, not letting people out and kind of openly shooting on them. I kind of like that they used Chief Irons in that role, and they also kind of used him as the dude who's being attacked by dogs or whatever. I thought that was pretty good. Oh, I feel like there's so many more Easter eggs that I can't even remember right now that happened. I guess those are really all the big ones. Anything else would have been just small things. Like there's a whole bunch of like in a storm, umbrellas keep you safe, like propaganda posters around, and I thought that's kind of neat. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of little things here and there that I didn't pick up on as well. I really like that the beginning and end title card are the game font Resident Evil in big red letters, not even necessarily just because it's like the exact game font from the first game, but it gives that like B movie feel to it, which it's an aesthetic I just have always liked, so I really like that. Um, I like that they use a rocket launcher to beat the end boss because you always do that. That's just the way it works. Even though that form of Birkin sucks, I think it's cool they use a rocket launcher to blow him up. And it's also pretty funny how there's like this enclosed space and he shoots it and everybody's like, what the fuck? And like jumping out of the way. I thought that was pretty good. Um there's a weirdly non-zero amount of times that Leon is just listening to music or like music is playing in the scene like this is like a Quentin Tarantino or like Zack Snyder film or something. I can't remember is it like Warrant's Cherry Pie or it's like an 80s song. I can't remember which one is playing when Irons is being like shot at by the Umbrella Corps guys and like there's zombies around. There's a burning zombie walking in to the RPD and Leon's just like sleeping at the front desk because he's a total fuck up in this, listening to some 90s pop song. I can't remember which one. I think it's something like on the nose, like Walking on Sunshine or something. There's like a weird amount of this movie just being like, we know we're kind of a silly, dumb horror movie, and those moments work okay. But I think they're too few and far between, and there's no real substance otherwise, which is the problem. I think if you're not a Turbo fan, there's no reason to see this at all, maybe. Maybe if you just like dumb video game movie type things, but the only real joy I got out of it, I have to say, is anytime there was like a moment of that was from the game and like it just makes me smile for that moment and then that's it. You know what I mean? That's like really the reason why you would go to this, but even then there's not enough of it to really make it worth your while, I don't think. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all the rambling I have to do for right now. So again, thank you for listening to the episode. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening to me just ramble on for almost half an hour by myself about specific things and go a little more into detail. But yeah, we'll see you next time.